Hello folks, I'm Kev, aka Kevin Chapman, aka lollujo, aka lollujo vlogs, aka lollujo FM. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you know all those pseudonyms. That might be one of the places you know me from. This is my Patreon video. I used to have a Patreon video when I first started Patreon about 2 years ago, but took it down after a couple of months because it very quickly became irrelevant as things developed in this whole YouTube thing for me. If you have no idea who I am and this is the first video of mine you've ever watched, might I suggest you head either to my daily vlog channel Kevin Chapman or my gaming channel lollujo. Check out the content on there before deciding whether you want to come back here. A Patreon video is not the first place to meet a new content creator, but I did touch on how my original Patreon video quickly became irrelevant, and it quickly became irrelevant because of the huge change in circumstances that I've been through over the last year, which those of you who have been around for a while will remember. A couple of years ago when I started YouTube, it was very much a tiny part-time thing where I would make a Football Manager video every day in my garage, which didn't look this cool back then, and I would release that video. I'd record them in the evening. I'd be at work all day as a teacher every day, and I somehow fitted in making YouTube videos. And over the course of the last 18 months or so, I've transitioned out of being a proper grown-up with a full-time job as a teacher into the point where I actually left work in July last year. And since then, I have been a full-time YouTuber, a full-time content creator with a daily vlog channel and the gaming channel, which is still largely Football Manager based, but has the occasional other games sprinkled in as well. I also stream on Twitch. I stream on You Now. I pretend that I write books and do podcasts, but I don't do either of those things very often. I'm a busy guy, and it certainly isn't relevant anymore for me to talk about myself as if I'm still a teacher like I did on my original Patreon video. So before I go any further with this video, I just want to thank you all for the fact that you watching this are the people who have allowed all of that change to happen. It's mad to think that something that did just start as a hobby in my garage less than 3 years ago has now turned into this thing that I can use to support my family, pay my bills, buy new comics and pop vinyls and all that other stuff. And it wouldn't be possible to do that without you guys. Anyone who's ever watched one of my videos, liked one of my videos, commented on a video, shared a video, watched a stream, retweeted a tweet, anything along those lines, watched an advert, all of that stuff is what has allowed me to spend the last year literally, and I hate using that word, but for once it's actually true, literally living my wildest dreams. I get to play Football Manager and make videos and call that a job, and it is brilliant. However, and of course there was going to be a however in a Patreon video, so however, doing this as a job is not without its downsides. And of course the biggest downside, and if your ear is to the ground in YouTube and social media stuff, you'll be well aware of what's coming next. But the income from the job that I have chosen to do is incredibly inconsistent, unpredictable, and largely declining over the course of the last couple of years. I guess YouTube ad revenue in general has been on kind of a downward arc, and it is difficult going from being a person who was in a full-time job, a good job, reasonably well paid, used to getting the same amount of money every month, being able to budget, to someone whose income is now woo. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I have some fantastic months where I earn far more money than I ever would have earned as a teacher. Those months are great. I also have some months where I earn far less than I used to earn as a teacher as well, and those months are painful. Luckily, I have a bit of a background in financial advice, financial planning. We budget, we plan as well as we possibly can, but it is still difficult. Life gets in the way. You get times where you have unexpected expenses, etc., etc., etc. And you get those times where sometimes you're feeling really good and sometimes you just feel skint. And that's where Patreon comes in, because I've had this Patreon for a couple of years now, and some of you have even been in it since the very beginning. So massive thumbs ups and thank yous to you guys. But Patreon is... It's that level of security. It's that money that we know is going to be a consistent amount that comes in every month. It's our buffer zone. It's our security blanket. It's our safety net. It's the thing that we know is going to be there no matter what happens with YouTube ad rates, no matter what happens with Twitch donations, no matter what happens with whatever else it might be, we know Patreon is always that solid amount that we can rely on getting. And it's, I mean, genuinely, without Patreon, I would be back at work by this point, I think, because it has been that much of a difference maker, just having that safety net in there. So I thought, having not made a video about Patreon for a couple of years now, and with it being so important to the way we live our lives, I thought I should probably just put this video out as a little reminder to some of you, and possibly a first time introduction to it for some of you as well, that Patreon is there. It is a thing that exists if you so choose to use it. And basically all Patreon is a monthly tipping service. It allows you to have a way to safely and securely make a small donation, a small tip to the channel to support me, my family, my channel, my work each month. If you think that it's worth doing that, you can pick the amount that you want to support us by. You can do it just for 1 month if you want, and just have it as a one-off thing. If you think that there was a particularly good piece of content, or I look particularly bedraggled and skint, you can throw a quid in once and then never do it again. Or you might decide that we're worth a different amount and you want to commit to doing something monthly. You can cancel it at any time. It's completely in your control, and it basically is a way of you saying to me, Kev, I like what you're doing. I would like for you to be able to carry on doing it. Here, have X amount of pennies this month. I don't need it. You look like you might. Please keep doing what you're doing. I'm really enjoying the content. And that's literally what it's there for. And then in return for you supporting me on here and allowing me to carry on having that safety net, carry on doing what I do, I offer you a couple of things. One thing I don't do is there's no exclusive content. I don't think it's right to hide content behind a paywall. Everything I make, all videos, all that stuff, that is always going to be available for free for everyone. That isn't going to change. Don't panic. In fact, nothing's changing as part of this. This is all the stuff that's been in place for quite some time anyway. But what you do get if you choose to back me here on Patreon is two things. Firstly, you get your name in the credits. You'll have seen at the end of all my videos, because you do watch to the end of my videos, don't you? But you'll have seen at the end of all of my videos, we have those credits roll and all those names running up on the screen. And those are the people who that month have backed me on Patreon. So by backing me for a month, you get your name in the credits for a month. Obviously, if you back longer than that, you stay in the credits for longer, etc, etc, etc. We also have a Patreon only Discord server. If you don't know what Discord is, don't worry about it. Those of you who do know what Discord is, we have a Discord server, but it's just for Patreon people. We did used to have an open one, but it just got all spammy and horrible and awful. We might do another public one at some point, but for now it's tucked away for Patreons only. And if you're intrigued about what I'm talking about and you don't know what Discord is, it's basically a bit like Skype, a bit like MSN Messenger. It's just a way to have a little private, direct chat with me through text with this nice little app. Gamers use it a lot. I think it's quite a cool thing, and that's available for people who are on the Patreon too. Plus, of course, you get the Patreon messaging service and all that stuff as well. And of course, some of you might now be saying, yeah, Kev, that's all well and good, but, you know, who really cares? I don't really want my name in the credits. I don't know what Discord is. What's the point? Well, the point is, it is Patreon that is going to allow me to carry on doing what I do for a job long term. If you enjoy the fact that we're able to put out a vlog episode every day, a couple of videos on the gaming channel every day, stream 3 nights a week, do the Q&As on YouNow, do all the other bits and bobs that we do. If you like the fact that we can put out the huge amount of content that we do, then the only way that we're going to be able to carry on doing that long term is through making sure that we're able to pay our bills every month, which some months YouTube ad revenue isn't able to do. So Patreon is the thing. If Patreon went away tomorrow, I would have to go and get a job tomorrow. There's no two ways about that. Patreon is that important to the future of our family, the survival of our business. And if you enjoy that content and you think it's content that you get value out of and you would like to chuck a quid towards, chuck a fiver towards, whatever it might be, and you can afford to do so, and you think it's worth doing that to ensure that you continue getting the amount of content you currently do and the kind of content you currently do, then that's a reason to back the Patreon, even if you're not that bothered about getting your name in the credits. The other thing that it does as well, as Patreon becomes a larger part of the income portfolio, it allows me to become less dominated by views. I don't need to chase the views as much over on YouTube, because at the moment, sometimes you're seeing me put a piece of content out which is potentially deliberately to chase the views, and sometimes series ends because the views aren't there. A good example of that at the moment is on both channels. On the gaming channel, I've stopped my God of War series. If you're enjoying that, I'm sorry, it had to stop because it was only getting like 300 views an episode. I can't justify spending that time to produce that content for that amount of money. Whereas if I was supported by Patreon, it wouldn't matter how many views it was getting. As long as people were enjoying it, then I could continue to make that content and the views wouldn't matter. Likewise, on the vlog channel, there's been times in the past where we've done content about entrepreneurship, business, tech, and I can't really do that content very much because when I do it, nobody watches it, or very few people watch it. So if you enjoy that kind of content, you'd like to see me be able to be a little bit more varied, a little bit more experimental, less about chasing the numbers, then Patreon is the way to do that. Of course, I completely appreciate that for some people, you either don't want to pay to support a creator, which is absolutely fine. You might feel that that's not something that should happen. We get our advertising stuff anyway. I don't want to actually have to give you any money. That's fine. Or some of you, of course, might not be able to afford to. The last thing I want to do is have you feel like I'm guilt tripping you into giving me your last fiver. If it's your last fiver, for goodness sake, don't give it to me. And this is really just for the people who have a little bit of spare cash each month and wouldn't mind slinging it my way to say thank you for the content I produce. But if you either don't want to support the Patreon or can't afford to support a Patreon, there are still other ways that you can support the channel as well and make that difference towards allowing us to carry on doing this as a full-time thing. For example, watch the adverts on the video. That if you skip them, we don't get paid. If you watch them, we do get paid. Or sign up for YouTube Premium. That's now available, I think, everywhere in the world. But if you're a YouTube Premium subscriber and you watch one of my videos, I actually get paid more for you watching that video than I would have done if you were a standard YouTube person and you watched an advert. So if you're on YouTube Premium, watch a whole load of my videos. Aside from that stuff, like the videos, comment on the videos, share the videos, retweet when they're out, share the message out there, drag more people into the channel. All those things are just as valuable as slinging a quid my way. So if you feel like you'd rather do that side of things and you still want to support, do that instead of actually supporting financially, and all of that stuff is a massive difference maker as well and is massively appreciated. And that is how I want to close this video. I just want to remind you all that this whole thing, it is completely optional. Please don't feel like this is me begging you for money. Please don't feel like this is me saying, if you don't give me money, I'll stop making videos. It's not that at all. I'm just trying to be as open and honest as I can possibly be about the way my business is structured, the way it works. The fact is, at the moment, we're doing okay. I can obviously afford to carry on doing it at the moment because I'm still doing it. If more people back Patreon, doing that would become a lot easier. If less people started backing the Patreon, everything would become a little bit harder. But it's, you know, don't feel that you must be a part of this or else your favourite content is going to go away. It's not the case at all. It is completely optional, and it is there specifically for those people who have a little bit of spare cash and feel like they would like to support the channel with it. That's what it's there for. Lots of people ask to do that. I would rather do this than have a donation button on the YouTube page, or have a, you know, cover everything with loads of brand deals. Goodness me, the amount of brand deals I turn down because they're rubbish. Be thankful I've never tried to sell you FIFA points, because goodness me, I could have done it hundreds of times. So, you know, it's just, I think this is a nice way to be able to support a creator that you enjoy the content of. Hopefully you agree, and hopefully some of you will choose to be a part of it. But I am going to end things there. This has already been a much longer video than I intended it to be, especially because I'm posting this same video on both channels. So if you do subscribe to both, you don't need to watch it a second time on the other channel. It is exactly the same video. But if you have made it this far in, and even if you then choose to not go on and back the Patreon, the fact you've made it this far is fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Please, if you have enjoyed it and you want to support this as an idea, pop a nice big thumbs up on there for us. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you very much for watching.